Okay, here's a 2015 Honda Odyssey oil change. I'm doing mine on a lift just because I have it, but first thing I do is loosen the oil fill cap, which is in a dumb place. Put it aside off the vehicle, so if it does fall, it doesn't end up down inside the motor somewhere. I'm putting mine up on a lift just because I have the lift, but I did oil changes on ramps, these little plastic ramps that I use for 30 years. I've only had this lift for about 2 years. So it'll also make it easier to film it. But anybody with a Honda Odyssey should be changing their own oil. This is one of the simplest oil changes going. There's no skid plates or any of that garbage to remove. You just go take the drain cap out, the fill plug, drain the oil pan, and you're done. And then the oil filter. Okay, the first thing you do is take the drain plug out of the oil pan. This is a drain plug, 17 millimeter. All the Japanese, European cars are all metric. So 17 millimeter socket on a 3/8 inch socket wrench. I did this last time, so this should not be cranked in there like a gorilla put it in. And you really can't go wrong. There's no other bolt to remove. This is the transmission drain plug, and it uses basically just the open end of a socket. And that's the only thing under here that you can confuse for a drain plug. And there's no, I don't know if there's supposed to be skid plates on this thing, but mine doesn't have it. I bought it used. I think I had a 2010 Odyssey. It didn't have any plates under here either. So most vehicles today, you have to take some kind of skid plate or plastic dam off or something to get at the oil pan, but this one you do not. So easy shoot. Okay, 17 millimeter socket, and that was not that tight. I didn't have to put a bar on it, but I always keep a little piece of pipe around if I do. You get a little extra leverage. And vehicle's been sitting about 2 hours since I last drove it, so the oil's going to be warm. That may hit my. So I take my glove off and catch it when it starts coming out. You are going to get oil on your hand taking the nut out. And then I'll reposition. I'm letting this go in a small catch bucket that I have on top of my big catch basin. So you always want your paper towels handy. I usually have one torn off ready to go. This time I don't. And if you were up on ramps, I should have had a piece of cardboard here. It looks like it's going to hit my lift. Yeah. So it's warm. The motor oil's warm, not hot. And I'm just going to let that drain for a few minutes and then put the plug back in. On these plugs, they call this a crush washer. It's not a crush washer, it's a gasket, aluminum gasket. And I reuse them. Been reusing them for 30 years, never had one leak. If it's not real grooved out, this one looks to be in great shape. This is an aluminum gasket, and I'm going to reuse that. And I'll show you when I tighten this. I don't over tighten them, but yeah, I'm gonna let that drain and then I'll come back and put the plug back in. All right, that's pretty much drained out. Now, if you're up on ramps, probably going to drain better because it'll be on a little bit of an incline. And the pan's where the oil's laying, so it'll get more of that oil out if you're on ramps. Just go back in with the same gasket and plug. Now this is a steel, an automotive grade bolt, steel bolt. And the old fan, some kind of cast, I don't know what it is, crap alloy, may even be aluminum. So you do not want to over tighten this. So that's seated. And then I felt it seat another. When it's dead seated, you feel it. That's all you need. Don't over tighten those and just end up stripping out the threads in this thing. Now this is another reason the main reason I use these K&N filters with the nut on the bottom. These are the oil filter wrenches I've accumulated over the past 35 years for different vehicles I've owned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one's pretty handy if you have enough clearance to get the handle in. 7. This is a Volvo that we don't have anymore. 7 oil filter wrenches. If you get the K&N filters, got a 1-inch nut, and this works for everything. I put the 1-inch sockets generally are 3/8 inch, so I have a 3/8 inch or a 1/2 inch. I have a 1/2 inch to a 3/8 inch adapter, so I can use all my extensions. So, depending on if it's closed space, I can just put the socket right in the end of this. I can put my 3/8 inch socket in this, or I can use different extensions depending on the vehicle. But yeah, this is all I use, and it does away with all the need to have a new oil filter wrench every time you get a different vehicle that has different clearances and different size filters, different diameter filters on the end here. So K&N's all I use on everything, even my motorcycle. So the oil filter is a little hard to get at on these. So this is the passenger side front, and you come in kind of through the wheel well. You don't have to take a wheel off or anything to get at it, but this is my white K&N filter with the nut on the bottom. And I have if you're on a ramp on the ground, you would have plenty of room to put a catch pan under here. But I've got a little smaller catch pan that I'm using. And then I use a 1-inch socket, goes on the end, and then I don't have all my 1-inch sockets are 1/2 inch drive. So I'm going to use, I guess I could use a 1/2 inch drive socket wrench, or just use a reducer for my 3/8 inch drive. So I'm just going to use a reducer for my 3/8 inch socket wrench, or you can use a 1/2 inch drive socket wrench, whatever's easier. And if this was, if I was trying to get a oil filter wrench in there, it'd be frustrating. And just spin it off. I mean, I don't torque these filters down, and you can see how much force. If I had a socket wrench on there on the OD, it would probably spin. And once it spins, and these little dents are pushed in, you're pretty much left with just driving a screwdriver through it and making a big mess to get it off. With the nut, Put the socket on and screw it right off. Now, Honda didn't position this thing in a very good spot. If I just take it out, it's going to run all over the frame and make a mess on the frame. So I just generally put a piece of cardboard under it that directs it down into my oil pan. Take this glove off so I don't get oil all over my glove. I don't know what the guys in the shops do, whether they just let it run all over the frame or whether they have custom made drain chutes for all different kinds of vehicles. But I'm holding on to the nut because now it's all full of oil and I can't get a grip on the outside of the filter. All right, just I stuck a paper towel in there to catch any of the drips that are still coming out. So I'm gonna wipe off the seating surface. And then on the new filter, you want to smear a little oil in this gasket. All right, so once you have the gasket wet with oil, screw it back in. And again, if this didn't have a nut on it, I would be. So what I did when I go back in with it, I'd seat it, get a dry paper towel, I can get a grip on it, and tighten it down by hand. I don't put the wrench. I do not put the wrench on it and going back in. Then you'll end up over tightening it. So as tight as I can get it by hand with a dry paper towel on the outside, and that's good to go. And I guess if for some reason you can't get a good enough grip on it, or you don't think you have the strength to seat it down, I guess you could put the wrench on it, but I mean, you got to be. I don't put it on, but if you do, you got to be real careful you don't over tighten it. You just want to snug it down. So. Filter's in, oil drain, now ready to add oil. No. It's an interesting, this is the oil that drained out of the oil filter. And I've never seen this before. The gasket actually separated from the oil filter canister. So, yeah, there's the canister in this. This gasket should have been firmly attached there, which it wasn't. So interesting. Just thought I'd share that. Never seen it before. All right, because this oil fill hole is so low, I like to keep a tall funnel. I use a tall funnel for this, and I use 4.5 quarts. I've always used 4.5 quarts, and with my van 2015. I use Pennzoil, full synthetic. Sometimes I use the 10,000 miles. Sometimes I use a platinum 15,000 miles, but I don't go more than 10,000 miles with an oil change. And the oil filter from K&N is rated at 20,000 miles. So I certainly don't go 20,000 miles, but this time I'm going in with the 10,000. I think it's maybe $32 for 5 gallons. 4.5 quarts, and this is a jug that has 2.5 quarts in it, left over from another oil change. So I want to go ahead and put my 4.5 quarts in and put the cap on. And after I run it and check it, it'll be right at the full mark in my experience. So yeah, we're good. That's it. All right, here we are at my local AutoZone, disposing of the used oil. And I've only ever not been able to dump oil at one of these places one time when their barrel was full. This one I know where it's at. I've been here before. So they all have these big blue recycle things. And you just dump it in. Sometimes they save my jug, sometimes I don't. And the good places usually have roll paper towels here for you, but I don't see any here. And these take any kind of oil, motor oil, transmission oil, any hydraulic fluid. The only thing they do not take coolant. So you can't bring any freeze and pour it in here. I think it'll ruin the whole container. That's all there is to it. And I'm going to go ahead and dispose of my containers here. Wipe my hand on my shorts and we're done. That's my process. I've had Odysseys for almost 10 years now. So that's the Odyssey oil change. I highly recommend DIYing this. Make sure you get the best oil, best filters. It's done right, and you know what you're doing. So especially if you stick with one brand of vehicle. This is my second Odyssey, so I know the process pretty good. So yeah, feels good to do it yourself. You know it's done right, and you get the best quality filter and oil. So yeah, until next one, peace out, brothers and sisters.